南无大方广佛华严经华严海会佛菩萨。南无大方广佛华严经华严海会佛菩萨。Homage to the Buddhas, Flower Garland Sutra, of great expanded teachings, and the ocean-wide Flower Garland Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Repeat after me, please. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in 100 million eons. But now we see and hear it within our sight and hearing. We vow to attain the thus come one's true and actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture tonight. It is August 20th here at the City of 10,000 Buddhas. We're going to be looking into the Ten Transferences chapter of the Flower Garland Sutra, and I'm going to come down and sit in that table, at the table there in the middle of the Buddha Hall. So please turn your seat around. You're going to be looking at a screen at the back of the Buddha Hall, and I will be with you in one moment. 我们今天是9月20号，等一等，我就下来在佛堂那里跟大家一起往后面看樱木我们研究《华严经十回向品》。好了，我现在下去。 Nope. Try it again. Doesn't work. We're not up. You are unable to connect to Zoom. So, however you guys do it, do it. All right. Oops. There we go. Okay. Okay. Thank you all for your patience. Everybody online, appreciate it. We are underway here at the City of 10,000 Buddhas. My name is Heng Sure. Today is August 20th, and this is we've had a cool day here at City of 10,000 Buddhas compared to let's see now. Can you help me share my screen? Whoever is our host here. We have had lots of hot weather here, and down in Southern California, there is what was a Category 5 hurricane has now become a tropical storm, but everyone is concerned that the rainfall that is predicted won't wash away all the folks who are living in gullies and arroyos, because in Palm Springs, for example, there hasn't been rain for years, and they're expecting multiple inches of rain to fall in the next 24 hours. So here we are feeling that kind of environmental uncertainty. Feels like we're in between seasons, and summer is ending and autumn is arriving. So we're here looking into the Flower Garland Sutra, which they say is the eternally dwelling Dharma treasure, 常住法宝. It doesn't have any summer, autumn, winter, spring. It's ageless and timeless because it arrives from the human mind, which is beyond time and space. So here on my screen, which I hope everybody can see, Let's see here. 等一等，我自己给自己翻译。我先讲英文，然后再来翻译。如果你们网上的各位佛友，你们可不可以就留一个话，就说你们可以听到，可以看到，看得到，听得到吗？麻烦 if somebody online could send a happy message saying yes, you can see and hear what we are about, I would feel good. Could somebody give us a thumbs up? Yes. Ling Fong says we are online. Can't see you, but thank you. Right. So just to say, welcome those of you who are new to a Sunday night sutra lecture here at CTDB. I'll tell you what we're about and how we go about it. I am my own translator into Mandarin and English, so every 5 to 7 minutes I switch into a different language. This is either, depending on your point of view, either a big bummer, or it's a great opportunity to study Mandarin, or English, depending on where you begin. So, me too, I love the study of languages that are not the language my mother spoke, because it gives me an opportunity to share, to let the Dharma flow through me, out through my tongue and my speech apparatus into your heart. What an incredible opportunity to share. And I would rather be doing this on a Sunday night than anything else I can imagine. So I hope you share that. And if we can communicate even a little bit of the wonder of this Avatamsaka Sutra and the stories that we're going to share tonight, then it has been completely worthwhile. 就是说，因为我们星期天晚上在万佛上城讲经说法现在是讲那个华严经十回向品。我恒实我自己给自己当翻译的人手。就说每5分钟7分钟自己改变一个语言。另外呢，有一个佛友他帮我们就翻译越南话，所以呢，这个讲座呢有3个语言了有的人呢就是第一次今天在场有一些新来的佛友有一些法大的学生就来了试一试听听这个佛殿我们万佛殿讲经说法，所以他们不熟这个方法是怎么一回事，我就给他们介绍那自己给自己翻译然后有的人就说哎呀这么闷就听不懂一半，然后你就说换一句话就说这是很好的机会来学习不同的语言那么我自己本身呢有这个机会跟大家分享2个语言然后呢第3个语言越南话，就是如果你就说一个星期天晚上你愿意做怎么样换时间吗？这是我最喜欢做的一件事，能就把自己的生命当什么？当一个镜头，当一个 camera lens， 一个相机的镜头，就说佛法的光明就透过我这个镜头一直到各位的心里那就是我最喜欢做的一件事情所以呢，看你的观点，看你的立场。Okay, so there we go. So thank you for patience while we switch back and forth between languages. There's a third volunteer who is speaking in Vietnamese. So how wonderful to be able to share these words with everybody. Now, I want to mention that not only are we here at the City of 10,000 Buddhas, but we have folks listening in from San Jose, Los Angeles, Gididale Road, Shanghai, Redwood Valley, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Sunnyvale, let's see here, Calgary, Alberta, Montreal, as they say, la belle province de Quebec, and Texas, and where else? In Heilongjiang, in Manchuria, Oregon, Columbia City, Oregon. All right, Jan, glad you're here. Seattle, San Rafael, moving on. My goodness. How about people from Hanoi, Vietnam, from Kuala Lumpur, from, let's see here, from next door, here on Page Mill Road. Let's see here, San Leandro, California, and then look at all the friends calling in from China. My goodness, over half of our attendees are listening in Chinese from where? Jilin, Heilongjiang, Liaoning, Heilongjiang, 内蒙古、台北、新北市，还有北京等等。Okay, so we have over, let's see here, over 110 friends listening in on YouTube and on Zoom. So thank you all for spending some time with us tonight. 那么多不同地方的佛友，大家一起研究佛经那么今天晚上我们照常就讲华严经，然后呢，因为下个礼拜我们就过这个乌兰盘这个法会那个时间到了，所以呢，我今天晚上就趁机会跟大家分享一点点那个乌兰盘这个法，介绍摩诃目犍连他所发的心，我们就用那个故事代替我们经常讲的这个玄奘大师的故事，因为下个礼拜呢，我们都有音乐，佛教的音乐提供给大家，所以正是那个正天，那个乌兰盘那天，就我们用音乐，因为刚好是那个机会，所以今天晚上稍微介绍。然后呢，come back please, there we go. 然后星期六，下个星期六，如果各位愿意收听我们这个Berkeley， 我们伯克莱讲经说法又讲那个乌兰盘的法让大家知道多一点。Okay, now thank you for your patience again listening. What we're doing tonight, we're going to look into the Avatamsaka Sutra, and I've got it on the screen there. We'll make it bigger so you can hear it, you can read it. Then we're going to move to another Buddhist story that is part of our calendar. It's a calendar event. Every year at this time, we talk about Ulambana. Ulambana is the memory of an event, something that happened in the Buddhist world of the Buddhist time, which echoes down to the present day. A story happened in the Buddha's India that has so moved people worldwide to this day that we remember it as an event on the Buddhist calendar. And the story is called Ulambana. And translated, Ulambana means releasing from suffering the beings who are hanging upside down. Sounds painful. It is. And it talks specifically about ghosts in the hells, suffering in the hells in the form of a ghost. It's a story that happened in the Buddha's time to his disciple named Madhyayana. That's a lot of yas. Madhyayana. In Pali, he's known as Moggallana, but the story that concerns him is a powerful story of filial devotion from a son to his mother, and then from that son to his teacher. So we're going to share a bit of that story tonight, because next Sunday is the actual day of we're celebrating of Ulambana, and because of another scheduling issue, next Sunday here on the 7:30, we're going to be streaming a music concert, which is happening just by coincidence on that same evening. So for folks to hear the story of Madhyayana saving his mother, we're going to talk about it tonight, and then next Saturday on Dharma Realm Live YouTube channel, and also on Zoom, we're going to be explaining more about Ulambana. Okay, so that's the plan. That's how we're going to go tonight. 好的，那我们现在就读华严经。Okay, Now, what is going on on tonight's text? Let me explain what this is about. The Avatamsaka Sutra has many teachings, many aspects to it, and one of the primary aspects is talking about the Bodhisattva path. And this is the sutra that explains what it means to be a Bodhisattva and how to cultivate. And there are a lot of ways to approach it, but one of the clearest ways is to focus on one particular Bodhisattva whose name is Samantabhadra, Puxian Pusa. Samantabhadra has 10 practices and vows that form the kind of the skeleton and the heartbeat of the Bodhisattva path. The skeleton meaning giving it the shape and holding it up, and the heartbeat meaning making it circulate, making it come alive. 10 practices. They start with bowing, they move to praising, they continue to making offerings, then repenting, reforming, renewing, and then all the way through to number 10, which is transferring merit in all directions throughout the universe, so to speak. And this particular chapter of the sutra, it's a big sutra that we're talking about, the Avatamsaka, the flower garden. This chapter is devoted to that one practice, number 10, transferring merit and virtue. And it talks in detail of how it's done, and then it gives us literally 1,000 examples of how to do it correctly according to Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. Tonight we are continuing into presentation of those examples of how it is done. And the invitation, of course, is to pick up the practice and do it ourselves. Okay? 就说这个华严经很长的一部经典，这个你如果要总括起来，华严经到底讲什么呢？就讲菩萨道，怎么样修菩萨道，怎么样行菩萨行，怎么样发菩提心。那如果问那到底怎么样修，怎么样行，怎么样发呢？你就说跟着普贤菩萨十大愿望、十大行愿。那么从礼敬诸佛一直到第10普皆回向，就是普贤行愿。这一品第25品华严经专门讲那一个行门怎么样回向功德。回向功德呢，就是给我们1000多的例子，先讲那个道理，然后呢就讲那个实行回向。当然就希望我们每个人，就包括你在内，就把这个行门当自己的行门，自己试去我们在万佛场每天很多机会回向功德，所以这个华严经就是告诉我们怎么样做呢？就说希望大家发心自己去做。Okay, to repeat, the sutra gives us the theory of this practice of dedication merit, then it gives us examples, and it says, please pick it up and do it ourselves. Please make this our own practice. Try it. During the day at City of 10,000 Buddhas, oh my goodness, there's so many chances, so many opportunities to do merit and then put it into practice. So we don't have to wait. We can actually try it out ourselves. Okay, will that do? That'll suffice as an introduction to what we're about for the newcomers, for the folks who have not had the opportunity to attend a sutra lecture before. Let's take a look. Everybody, here we go. We're going to first read together. And those of you who are still learning your Chinese, here's the romanization right there. You can read below. Those of you who can read the characters, let's do it together. Okay, we ready? Now let the white space be white space. This is where you breathe, right? So 那个我们念了7个字，然后呢呼吸，再7个字，然后呢呼吸气所以这样子就我们可以异口同音。好了，来 ，All right, let's go. Here we go. Ready?
为闻法故，失其身 breathe， 修诸苦行求菩提，复为众生舍一切，求无上智不退转。All right? Now, the same instructions work for the English, which is to say, let the punctuation be our guide. The punctuation tells us how to breathe, where to pause, and how to make it possible for all our voices to blend. Okay, are we ready? Here we go. For the sake of hearing the Dharma, they offer up their body, cultivating all kinds of ascetic practices in search of Bodhi. To benefit living beings, they further renounce everything, never retreating from the quest for unsurpassed wisdom. Okay, so a bodhisattva, according to the Avatamsaka Sutra, takes this seriously. It's not a weekend pursuit. It's not something you dabble or try it out and then retreat. The way the sutra describes it, bodhisattvas are, their value system is focused entirely on gaining the Dharma's insight, transforming this ordinary flesh and blood into a vessel that can hold the Dharma. And they might cultivate ascetic practices like what? Well, I guess it depends. There's different levels of ascetic practices. Like, for example, not eating after noon. Oh, that's interesting. Or if you, in the Theravada tradition, we see the monks at Abhayagiri with their bowls, walking through the streets of Ukiah, walking through, Redwood Valley. And whether or not people offer to them, they're out there regularly with their bowls, following the Buddha's instructions to provide a field of blessings for living beings to plant those blessings. So Shifu said, Master Shenhua told us that in the future, we too, as City of 10,000 Buddhas, would continue the practice of walking for alms, because he said there is no doubt this is the Buddha's instruction. This is how he set it up. Monasteries in China, because they were often up in the mountains and there was nobody to offer but the coyotes and the rabbits, so who was there to make offerings? So the monks planted their own food, or the lay people brought 50-pound bags of rice and oil, and they ate from that the rest of the year. So those are ascetic practices. Looking particularly at food and clothing, shelter and rest, sleep. Those are the places where bodhisattvas exert themselves so that they can get past the limitations of the self with its desires. So they search for Bodhi, and their values are different. They would much rather let go of comfort or ease in order to realize the way. 就说菩萨，他们如果华严经告诉我们什么叫菩萨，他们就行苦行。苦行呢，就是妥妥行，就是对我们的饮食，还有衣服，还有这个卧具就舒服，身体的自在啊。那么能精进一点，就慢慢的那个我见我相不是那么强，那么坚固啊。那么我们就说陀钵七事啊，那个苦行里边有四五个是对于饮食方面啊。上人曾经说过，他说圣成的僧团将来那个因缘成熟，我们也会陀钵啊。他说肯定这是佛立的一个方法，出家人受这个饮食。那么有的人就说，美国还没有到那个时候，你都会饿死了，美国人不会布施，不会供养。那么我们就说，阿巴耶吉里无畏山呢，那些出家众呢，他们每一天都在哪里陀钵七事，有不同的路途，有的就到尤卡亚， 那么我们圣城的居士也去供养他们，所以美国人呢也可以供养。所以将来我们看看有没有那个因缘，我们都用这个方法去拿食物了所以你看菩萨的轻重，他们的这个价值观呢，他们说身体舒服不舒服不要紧，能证道才要紧。所以这个苦恨他们都愿意信。Next, ready? Here we go. 来，以于佛所闻正法，自舍其身充己事，为欲普救诸群生，发生无量欢喜心Your Mandarin is getting much better. I noticed the improvement. Here we go. Together, let's go. Having heard the proper Dharma from the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas offer themselves as attendants. For the sake of saving all beings, they bring forth boundless joy. All right. This particular lesson, I think, is really important for us here at CTDB, that the idea is Buddha Dharma is there to bring us boundless joy. And if we find ourselves, the more we cultivate, the more afflicted we get, the less joy we have, that's a sign that something is off the middle way, is being forced. Right? So when you look at there's a book called the Qingjing Dao, the Visuddhimagga, which is a Theravada Pali-based text from Sri Lanka, describing how the monks in the Buddha's time recommended cultivation. And there's, as I read the Qingjing Dao, it's kind of a handbook, a manual for cultivation in India and Sri Lanka. They describe how as soon as affliction arises, that's a sign of too much effort. And the human mind will burn out before long, and you lose the resolve to cultivate. Because it's kind of like driving with your parking brake on. The brakes heat up, and there's a bad smell, and the car is not going to stop successfully in the future because you burned the brakes. So the Visuddhimagga says, come back again, come back tomorrow. Back off a little bit and go long. Look long. Ask yourself, 5 years from now, how will I be cultivating? 10 years from now, how will my Dao Xin, my mind for the way, have progressed? How will my merit, my virtue, my kindness, my compassion, my joy and serenity have grown in 5 years, 10 years? And plan, go long and go strong. That's I think the message, because it's no mistake that the Avatamsaka Sutra says that bodhisattvas, because they know that cultivating the way allows them to do the greatest of work, which is, quote, saving all beings, how could they not be joyful? They have found the work that they've been looking for their whole lives. What does it mean to save all beings? That's key, isn't it? So is that just some abstract bodhisattva language? Is that Buddhist code? Or what does it mean to save all beings? So my best understanding of what that means is we start with ourselves. And if I am feeling irritated, maybe because I'm lacking sleep, or maybe because the person chanting at the bowing bench beside me is off key, or maybe when I got to the food line, the ice cream was all gone, and I'm irritated, there is a living being to cross over, right there, in that thought of irritation. And what do you do? How do you do it? Well, the answer is, how skillful am I? How well do I know myself? Can you say, well, you know what? Whoever got that last bit of dessert was probably very happy, and I'm glad for them. 随喜功德, I rejoice in their happiness. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep, so maybe after lunch I will sit down and meditate for an extra 15 minutes. and give myself some recharging time. You say, maybe that person beside me who isn't singing on key, maybe they've got thoughts of, they found out that somebody at home is sick, or maybe somebody's lost their job, or maybe they're concerned about the state of the nation or the environment, and maybe that's on their minds, and that's why their voice isn't up to pitch. So how could I possibly be irritated at them instead of sympathetic for them? Right? So you work with your mind, find the principle. Why am I irritated? Mostly irritation arises because of unsatisfied desire. I wish it were different, but I'm happy with the way things are. I recognize dharmas as they are, and how could it be different? That there are reasons, there are causes and effects for the way things are. Getting in harmony with the world around me is wisdom. That's wisdom. With that thought, you know what you've done? You've saved a living being, your own self. You start there. And then the next thought might be anxiety. Or the next thought might be despair, worse. And you have to work with the thoughts that arise. Find a way, find a Dharma principle to get to the source. Usually it's greed, anger, and delusion interfering with my Shila, Samadhi, and Prajna. So if I can recognize it when it rises, I can cross it over, I can save living beings, and the world is better by that thought. Bring forth boundless joy. So that's an example. Taking myself out of affliction into harmony, into insight, into no affliction, waiting for the next affliction to arise down the road, right? That's the work of cultivation. It's just like pulling weeds out of a garden, becoming a gardener on the mind ground. That's the work of saving living beings. So that's what bodhisattvas do, and pretty soon, once our afflictions are less, we're able to help others. Maybe just by showing an example, not by the words we speak, but by the fact that we simply don't let ourselves get upset all the time. That might be the very best way to cross over our family members, our brothers, our parents, our spouses, our partners, our classmates. When we're on their radar and they sense that we are kind of in the flow, moving along according with conditions, that's the very best way of what's called speaking Dharma in your person, 现身说法. So there's lots of ways of crossing living beings over. That's why there are 84,000 Dharma methods for doing that. Okay, let me translate for myself, and then we're going to do one more verse here. 就说菩萨他们这样子，他们愿意给佛做侍者，就为度众生。怎么说救还是救？对，就说普救诸群生，发生无量欢喜心。那么怎么样发生无量欢喜心？菩萨他说，我的工作是什么？是要救众生，是要度众生，化众生。这个工作是最高无上的工作，这就是救济世界。那么当然我们要知道什么叫度众生、化众生、救众生，什么叫怎么讲那么就说我先从我自己的心开始，就在心地上做一个很好的一个管理花草树木的一个 mind ground gardener， 就是心地上的一个管理心地的人。怎么说呢？如果我生了烦恼，那个烦恼一定有它的根基，它的因素。为什么生烦恼呢？多数呢是因为没有满足我的愿望，那就有烦恼。因为贪不来，所以嗔因为嗔呢就做愚痴的事情，所以呢我就往后边走。我说那个烦恼那个嗔心是因为有欲念，那个欲念在哪儿？我看看就能认识。我在吃饭的时候， 到我跟前那个点心已经没有了，那就什么烦恼？我的欲望还没有满足了，那么能认识你就说隔壁拿最后一块那个点心的佛友他应该很开心，能吃那个甜甜的点心，所以呢，我为他满足，我为他欢喜，随喜功德。那这样子就度那个烦恼心了。这样子呢，世界少了一个烦恼，世界增长一种欢喜，一种知足。所以呢，菩萨他先在自己的心地上下功夫了，下功夫就度众生这样子那么就说普救群生，就是从一个念头做成的能慢慢的自己没有烦恼你四周围的人就是互相在自己的 radar 上，他们就知道你自己没有烦恼，慢慢的他们就对于佛法感兴趣就是好过跟他们讲你不应该有烦恼这样子他们就讨厌了。所以就说现身说法自做不要等他人，不要告诉他人，你自己就把自己的众生先度好了，慢慢的就以身作则了就好了。那么这样子就有大欢喜心有什么工作比这个更重要呢？赚钱吗？不值得能在自己的心力上做一个很好的 gardener 那就好了。Okay, one more. I didn't mention the attendance part in this verse. So our verse says that bodhisattvas offer themselves as attendants to the Buddha. Clearly, that must be a wonderful state. We look at Ananda, who is the Buddha's own attendant, and Ananda means happiness. So clearly, there's a connection. Okay, one more. We ready? Here we go, everybody. Ready? Here we go. 比见世尊大导师，能以慈心广饶益，世世踊跃生欢喜，听受如来身法味。Wonderful. Ready? Here we go. Seeing the world-honored ones, the great guides, extensively benefit beings with their loving kindness, bodhisattvas at that time are overjoyed, hearing and savoring the Tathagata's profound dharma. Okay, so where are we? We're in the verses section. Take a look here. I don't want to lose my place. I'm on page 69. Okay, so here we are. We've been working with the verses just since here. The way the sutra is organized is first there's prose, and after the prose there's repeated verses which repeat the same dharma in verse form. They're probably chanted, some. So we could have been chanting. That's probably the way it was done in the past. So these verses are telling the story of transference number 6. There are 10 total. And the 10 are little subunits inside chapter 25, the 10 Transferences. So we're in transference number 6, and we're almost done. This is the repetitive verses part. So we're going over again how the sutra presented the single practice called transference and dedication of merit. So let me take just a second here and describe how transference is done according to the sutra. What we do is first we cultivate some sort of meritorious practice, and it can be anything during the day. You can just be generous. You can stop a bad habit. You can be kind to someone. You can do a prescribed practice like meditation or bowing or service to the community. You can cook, you can clean, you can translate, you can administer, you can attend the ceremonies. There's all these different ways of practicing, which is essentially keeping the Buddha Dharma alive.
All right, then there's the second step of transference or dedication, which is to say, you take the invisible but real goodness that comes from cultivating the way and you give it away with your mind. You say, I dedicate all of my merit and virtue to, you fill in the blank, whoever you care to dedicate your merit to, with the wish that, fill in the blank, however you would, whatever good thing you would like to do with your merit. And our chapter, the entire 10 Transferences chapter with each of the 10 subsections is full of examples of how bodhisattvas give away their merit. And for people who say, oh, you know, those Mahayana sutras, they're all philosophy. They're so lofty, nobody can understand them. They're full of Sanskrit and technical terms. It's just, you know, I bounce right off. I would suggest that somebody who holds that opinion has never actually read this text. Because here it's talking about bodhisattvas putting themselves out to be vigorous to help other living beings and getting joyful in the practice. Is that philosophy, or is that down-to-earth hard work on behalf of others? So this is done through the lens of one practice called dedication of merit. And as I said, the invitation is for us to follow in the steps of an Avatamsaka bodhisattva and say, oh, I sat in a darkened Buddha hall in the vineyards of Mendocino County for 90 minutes looking at an ancient Buddhist text in 2 languages and sat with friends in a clean, calm, serene environment, listening to a story of wisdom. And I feel pretty good about that, and I want to share that goodness. I dedicate my merit to, and you fill in, somebody personal, to a social cause or purpose, or a universal. The personal might be, I dedicate my merit to my grandmother, who is aging and is worried about her future. She doesn't really know. She's alone now and kind of feeling a bit depressed. I dedicate the merit to her with the wish that her spirits pick up and she regains her joyful childlike mind. That's a perfect place to dedicate merit. You might dedicate for a social cause. You might say, I dedicate with the wish that the winds currently blowing up through Baja California into the Los Angeles basin be calm, and that the floods don't wash away homeless people who made their homes in low land because it never rains there. May they be safe and protected from this change in the climate. Perfect place to dedicate merit. You might dedicate to something universal. May all living beings lead a Christ-like life. If the life of Jesus is seen as an example of the Bodhisattva path, perhaps, selfless giving for others. May all living beings quickly make the Bodhi resolve and save living beings. However you want to dedicate your merit, it's up to you. Just do it. That's the invitation, is don't miss the opportunity to share the goodness. When we seed the air around us with these wholesome thoughts, other people pick up on it. People around you feel good around you because there's, I never feel any antagonism. I never feel any competition from. In fact, I like being around that person because I always feel kind of good around him. That person is constantly sending out his or her thoughts to the world with the wish to dedicate merit. So, bit by bit, as the sutra goes through, the bodhisattva gets really good at it. The mind sharpens. And the more you do it, the better you are at doing it. And your mind becomes like a beacon of goodness, of good light. And since the mind can't hold 2 competing thoughts at once, the more we dedicate merit, the happier we get. It's a form of giving of Dharma, the highest kind. So, highly recommended, folks. Try it out for themselves. 还没有讲
这个回向是怎么一回事，怎么做的啊？一般来讲，我们先修行，看你怎么样用功。普贤恒愿是很好的方法，听经也很好，在万佛殿今天晚上啊。然后呢，你就说啊，我把我今天跟大家共同听经这个功德回向。回向怎么说呢？你就说把这个听经的功德布施出去了，用你的心做什么样子，你就说我愿意把这个功德布施给谁，然后呢，为的什么？就两个问题，两个空格你要填好。第一呢，你就说我愿意布施给四肢一个目的，或者呢社会上一个比较大范围的目的，或者呢就说就近的一个普遍的目的。好比说呢，今天听经这种法喜，我都愿意布施给我的婆婆。我的婆婆现在孤独了，她最近呢好像犹豫啊，我就回向给她，希望她可以回去她的这个混沌痴子的心，那个清净天真那个心就开心。好的，很好，一个回向啊，我愿意回向给今天在南加州受这个大风暴雨的危险，希望他们都会得救了，不会被水冲走啊，那个很好的啊。或者呢，我就说我愿意回向一切众生，希望他们发大菩提心，造成佛道，都可以啊。所以呢，就是用心布施，那就是回向。OK， 希望各位都趁机会来参加这个华严经的菩萨这种欢喜，这种布施。Okay, so we have one more. Seeing the thus come ones, the great guides, extensively benefit beings with their loving kindness, bodhisattvas at that time are overjoyed, hearing and savoring the Tathagata's profound Dharma. What must it be like to actually be in the presence of the Buddhas? They say that the next, in our Mahayana tradition, they say that Maitreya Bodhisattva, according to our version of the story, is waiting in the Tushita heaven, the inner courtyard of the Tushita heaven, waiting for the conditions to come ripe. He will descend to our world and speak Dharma for how long? 3 days and 3 nights. Sometimes Buddhas speak Dharma for eons. So he's in a hurry. He's got the work to do, and it's going to be done in 3 days and 3 nights. It's called the Dragon Flower Assembly. So the story goes, if we want to be there and not miss the opportunity for Maitreya Bodhisattva to become Maitreya Buddha, so tie up those affinities now and make a wish, make a vow, that I will be there for the Longhua Fa Hui, the Dragon Flower Dharma Assembly, when Maitreya Buddha is speaking Dharma. Hasn't happened yet, but it's coming up. Maybe it gives us a way to endure what's happening to the destruction of our world now in our time of decay, the Dharma ending age, knowing that the next one's coming. So we'll aim our sights to the future. 就说菩萨他能参加佛的法会很开心，还有你看能看到佛听到法。那么我们下一个就是佛转世呢，是弥勒菩萨，他现在在那个倒衰托天，等时间成就了，因缘成熟了，他就下来了，就开龙华法会，3天3夜啊。所以现在愿意回向，就是说我想在场，我不要漏掉，我不要错过机会啊。龙华法会愿共生就可以了。Okay, all right. So next week we will not be continuing with the next verse because of our concert coming up of Buddhist music. The following week we will be continuing right here. Pusa Soyo Zhu Shangan, page 68 and 69 in our Avatamsaka Sutra. So, what are we doing now? Right now, we're going to talk about ulambana. Ulambana is a Sanskrit word which means rescuing those hanging upside down. And it talks about an event that happened in the Buddha's lifetime. A disciple whose name was Madhyayana realized the way, opened up his spiritual vision. And interesting, really interesting, the first thing he did was look around for his mother. He didn't do anything else. He looked for his mother because he recognized, as many people who have this experience do, he recognized that the blessings, the merit, and the virtue that allowed him to wake up as a disciple of the Buddha came not from his own effort, but it came from his mother. That's not the one. Let's see, here we go. Madhyayana. Here he is. Oh. Madhyayana, the Buddhist disciple. So he realized that he was not self-made. In fact, it was from his parents, the blessings that he got, that allowed him to wake up. And so he went looking for them. Now that he had awakened, he went looking for his mother, and guess what he found? Mom's in trouble. Trouble. His mother was not enjoying heavenly reward. His mother was a fire-breathing ghost in hell. Oh my goodness. Imagine if that were your discovery, that your mother is suffering with every breath. So I need to translate this before I quit. 就说目犍连佛的大弟子，他开他的道业成就了，开那个五言六通，他是山统第一的大弟子。他第一件事情就是要找到他母亲，因为他知道他能成道，是因为其他人给他的福报，所以要报恩，知恩报恩。他先要看他母亲，母亲呢 ，I don't want you to look at that too long. It's kind of scary. You'll get nightmares. 他的母亲呢，就在地狱里边做恶鬼。哎呦，真的苦。Chinese artists seem to like this suffering. So what did he do? Enough of that. So he, first thing he did on his own, he said, I'm going to feed my mother, the ghost, in the hells. So he got some food in a bowl. He traveled down to the hells. And when you have psychic powers, you are fireproof, asbestos. So he went down and he gave the food to his mother, and she put it in her mouth after hiding it from the other ghosts, and it turned into coals and burned her tongue, and she was more miserable than ever before. How awful. So Madhyayana was really upset, and he went to find the Buddha. 就说目连找到他母亲，母亲就在地狱里边做恶鬼，这么苦。谁会想到你的母亲、你的慈母啊，会堕落这样子？目犍连呢就痛心的不得了，他就拿一钵饭带到地狱里边，他有神通，他可以去，不必火烧。给他母亲，母亲先把他不要让其他的恶鬼看的，就把那个一团这个食物放在口里边，结果怎么样？就变成火焰烧他的舌头，烧他的口，增加他的苦痛。目犍连呢，糟糕可怕，就叫佛帮忙。Okay, so he went to find the Buddha, and you can see in this illustration, the Buddha responded. The Buddha said, you know what? He said, Madhyayana, he said, I understand your issue. He said, but my strength is not enough to save the situation. He said, but I do have a method. Here's what you do. he said, this time of the year is the time when all of my disciples have gathered together under shelter for the summer rains retreat. This is the Pravarana day, the day of the Buddha's rejoicing. And all my disciples are here, so let's do this. Tell the lay people to make offerings of all the best flavors of food and all the necessities of life, and bring them together. Have the Sangha recite sutras, mantras, parita chanting, and I guarantee that they will transfer the merit to your mother. She will benefit from this, and she'll be rescued. So try this. Try it out. So Madhyayana, who look at the worry on his face here as he looks at his mother, he's crying because she's suffering like mad. Hungry ghosts, they say they have their bellies as big as a bass drum, but their throats are the size of a needle. So there's no way they can satisfy their hunger. So how's suffering? So the Buddha told Madhyayana this method. Oh, Madhyayana was so happy. He thought, I can save my mother. So he went and did as the Buddha instructed. Got the lay people making offerings, got the Sangha doing the chanting, and sure enough, his mother's karmic burdens were reduced. And he was overjoyed. And then Madhyayana said, World Honored One, he said, oh Bhagavan, if it worked for my mother, will it work for everybody's mother? And the Buddha said, good indeed, Madhyayana, you are unselfish. I was just going to talk about that, and you've already asked about it. He said, yes, it will. On the 15th day of the 7th lunar month in every year, you can repeat the same practice, have the offerings come, recite for the laity, and transfer the merit, and 7 generations of ancestors will receive the benefit and be saved from suffering. Well done. So that's where Ulambana came from, and the story of Madhyayana saving his mother has become a staple of Asian folklore. Wherever the Buddha Dharma goes, it has become one of the Asian Buddhist world's favorite stories. It has been told in theater, it's been told in song, it's been told in film, it's been told in opera, poetry. The story just goes on and on and on because people love the idea that a filial son can intervene in a mother's suffering to save her from her evil karma. So that's one of the lessons. Let me translate what I've said, and I'll come back and talk about the principles. 这个乌兰盘是目犍连看到他母亲在那儿受极大的苦，然后问佛有没有什么方法，佛告诉他说有，我自己的力量不够，我的法力不够，真的吗？他就方便说，可是你有办法，你如果叫所有的居士拿来那个乌兰盘，就充满这个百味香果等等。出家人可以用的40供养，然后出家人就念咒、诵经就回向，你母亲也会得救。Madhyayana呢，他太开心，他就这样做了，然后念完了经咒，他看到他母亲的恶业，他的这个业障就清了。就熟了，高兴的不得了，他的母亲得救了。母亲呢又问他说：“我的母亲得救了，那么其他人呢？我们可以用这个方法呢？”佛就赞叹他说：“目犍连呐，你有菩萨的心肠，你不是单单为你自己对了，是的，每年这个7月15，你如果就这样做的。”居士们先供养，僧团就念了，这个功德都会救是7代还是9代的祖先就说 一直得到九祖升天了，是不是期待的祖先都会得到这个好处？所以乌兰盘经就讲那个事，每年我们就这样做。所以那个故事大多数是这么讲的。Take a look here. What are the principles in the Ulamana Sutra? One is filiality. Madhyayana saving his mother comes back in Asia in various forms. Mothers can fall. Sons can save them. Madhyayana recently woke up. He's grateful. He wants to repay. So he looks for his mother. His priority upon enlightenment is revisiting his primary relationships, repaying that kindness. The benefits from offerings to the Sangha. Offerings bring blessings and salvation. The Sangha's mantras and sutras enable Madhyayana's mother to be rescued. 就说那个乌兰盘经很多道理。第一呢，孝道，目连救母那个故事在亚洲就说戏剧、小说、电影、这个电视、故事、歌曲，都是赞叹目连救母那个故事。母亲也会做坏事，母亲也会堕落，儿子也可以救他。还有目连他就刚刚成道开悟，他就感恩知恩报恩，他第一件事就是找母亲那么所以呢，他就注意那个根本的六亲眷属的关系。还有供养僧团有好处能救那个祖先那个僧团念持咒念经就可以救母连的母亲。Okay, number 4, look, the necessity of having a teacher to tell you what to do in times of need. Madhyayana was really, really upset seeing his mother suffering like that. He went to the Buddha and he got an answer. Look at how the Buddha solved the problem. He said, you need to get everybody. It takes a village. He said, get the whole Sangha involved. So he got everybody cultivating. This is really a skillful, good and wise Kalyana Mitra. 第4呢，就说需要一个真正的善知识，能到时候需要的时候就舍一个方便法。目连叫佛陀佛陀就说我们需要大家的力量，大家修行就可以见效他就把那个力量不是专门在自己一个人做的，他说大家的力量够了就好了。Okay, look at the expedient that the Buddha used. He prepared for the Sangha's future sustenance. He said, I don't have enough strength. Well, okay, that's what he said. The Buddha brings himself down as the ultimate religious authority. He gives the power to the harmony and cooperation of the Sangha. That's a very skillful thing to do, and most, creator deities, I am the sole authority. Nope, Buddha says, actually, I'm going to enter nirvana. You all work it out. You have the power to do it. So, the power of community, harmonious purpose among the Sangha at the end of the summer rains retreat. 大家有没有注意，佛陀并没有说好，我来救你的母亲，你要相信我，没有这么说。他说我自己的力量不够了，可是呢，僧团团结他们的力量，大家的力量就可以了。他这样说呢，自己会不会吃亏？他并没有说你唯我独尊，不是。他说其实我的力量有限可是大家的力量。这样子呢，他就准备将来他入涅槃之后，僧团团结，居士供养，就是团体的力量就说体戒大道，法不伤心就互相无碍就好了。Okay, notice another principle. Madhyayana is unselfish. He shows this Mahayana impulse. It worked for my mother, well, it worked for everybody's mother. And the Buddha says, good for you, unselfish. Yeah, That's the right thought, is to expand, to put the self down and pick up the selflessness. 第七呢，目犍连他不自私，他就是大公无私。他说：“哦，我的母亲得救，人人的母亲呢，真的，佛陀赞叹他说，哎，你这样子大公无私，就是回小向大，就是菩萨的形象。” Now, there's an interesting point here that pops up in the sutra, which is Advaita is known as, among the Buddha's disciples, the foremost with psychic powers. And it's interesting to see how he uses them. He uses them to check out his own mother's circumstances first. That's an unselfish use, you could say. There's a lot of confusion about psychic powers among the laity, so the sutra explains a bit on that. 对于神通妙用，这个《乌兰盘经》就给我们解释他用这个神通是为了救母亲了不是为自己。Okay, now this is key. I want to point this out. There is a monk who was you could say, a friend. Maybe we could say Master Hsuan didn't have friends in the traditional way. Actually, Ajahn Sumedho was one of Master Hsuan's Dharma friends. He called him Tongsan Daoyo. But here is one of those friends that Shifu called a friend. Right here on Shifu's left, on your right side, this is Master Jin Ming, right here. Jin Ming Fa Shi. He was from Malacca, Malaysia. He was a lifelong educator. And he was concerned, this is Master Wu Ming here. This is Jin Ming Fa Shi. He was concerned that in Buddhist Asia, here's Master Jin Ming as a young monk. Look at his blessings here. Jin Ming Fa Shi, he was concerned that in Asia, Ulaanbaatar had been forgotten. It had become ghost holiday. The 7th day of the 15th lunar month, the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, people were afraid to go out of their houses because ghosts were going to get them. He said, that is a perversion. That's a perversion of the Ulaanbaatar story, which is a truly, truly wonderful story. So what did Jin Ming Fa Shi do? He wrote a number of essays published in Malaysia in Chinese. We haven't translated them yet. We need somebody to get to work on these. He wrote these essays saying things like, filiality, repaying parents' kindness, is a common cultural point for both India and China. This is a principle. Repaying parents' kindness and being filial is a cultural aspect that China and India both share. And he went on to write essays called We Should Imitate Madhyayana and Make Offerings to the Sangha of the Ten Directions, and essays like The Benefits of Practicing the Ulaanbaatar Dharma Assembly, etc. And he really wanted to save the culture of Ulaanbaatar correctly and make it a Buddhist holiday for every calendar. That was his goal. Because in Zhongyuanjie is Guiyue. In China and in Vietnam and other places, the 7th lunar month is called Ghost Month. That's what it's become. And people are afraid to go out walking after dark during Ghost Month. And it's really kind of ridiculous. We have in the West Halloween, right? Halloween is one night. But the source of this was Ulaanbaatar. And it's a wonderful holiday that touches people's hearts worldwide. 在中国文化里边，9月7月15变成鬼节，中元节鬼月这个马来西亚那个净明法师，他已经 往生了，他就涅槃了。那个他是圣人的通山道友，也是个教育家，他呢，他愿意在中国社会里边把这个五郎盘戒挽救了。他说，本来这是佛教的一个孝道的一个节日，中国文化就把它变成什么鬼月？他说错了，我们要认识本来的故事，要多多讲这个佛教的这个故事，不要让这个世俗的文化把它弄远了，就错了。Okay, so what do we have in Japan? Anybody been to Japan in this time? They have Obon Matsuri, where you dance and you hit the drum and you wear fancy clothes. What is it? Obon is Ulambana, but they've forgotten the story. So this is a big holiday in Japan. Nobody quite remembers its source in a Buddhist story from the sutras. So Master Jinming wanted to bring it back and to correct the mistake. 你们到日本在这个时候有 Obon Matsuri でございます。Obon Matsuri です。那个 Obon Matsuri 错了，他们忘了那个根本是佛教的一个故事，感动人的故事。所以你看这个中国鬼月，日本 Obon Matsuri，那就本来忘了它的根本的故事。So, okay, 我们那个净明法师要把它挽救回来了。What else? Reincarnation, bad habits and faulty character can send us to an unhappy state. Even our mothers can fall. 这个错因果也会堕落，连母亲都会堕落。Transference, dedicate merit, has power. 回向这个法。So, Indian stories sometimes show the laity as seeking blessings. Not necessarily. This is a chance to put those blessings to use. And we want to look at the Buddhist calendar and maybe discover whether in the West, whether in America, we can make Ulambana tell that story to the world. 所以我们都要在西方这里看看能不能把这个乌兰巴那那个故事又把它挽救，把这个感动人的故事再讲。Maybe 因为我们这里那个故事刚刚听到了，没有这种社会的婉转。Okay, now that story is new and fresh in the West. Maybe we can bring it to life this way. Okay, hope so. Now, the time has come to wrap up tonight's lecture. We're going to dedicate merit by singing our dedication. I want to show this to the people online who are joining us. We have 122 friends on Zoom and many more on YouTube. So let's dedicate merit, and we'll turn around, the lights will come on, and we'll face the Guanyin Bodhisattva, face the Buddha, and dedicate merit. 那我们现在自己会上功的。As we transfer, please do it the way the sutra teaches. Who do you want to dedicate to, with what good purpose? 那我们回向就成集会，回向给谁，为的什么好的目标 ？Okay, let's do it now. Every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Out in respect to the Venerable Master,